We will call to order the canvassing board meeting of the Board of Election Commissioners for the City of Chicago. Uh, My name is Maricel Hernandez. I'm the chair, and with me today is Commissioner William Cressy
Present.
and Commissioner June Brown. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Do we have any requests for public comment today? We have someone. Yes, do you want to? I'm sorry?
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Cleopatra Draper, write-in candidate for the 9th Ward Committee Persons race. And this is the first time I'm getting able to see the results, 41% to 49%. Well, I just want to share my experience and what our board witnessed to and what transpired throughout this opportunity. I think the Board of Election employee and staff, I did a yeoman's job to try to right what I saw was wrong, but I have to share what transpired. By a write-in candidate, the intent needs to be implicitly applied. March 25th, when my team and I came to review early vote, we witnessed on several occasions intent be ignored. Cleopatra Jones, Cleo Jones, Cleopatra Watkins, Cleopatra Williams, the misspelling of Cleopatra and the intent, that's disenfranchisement. The 9th Ward deserves representation, and the 9th Ward deserves to have their vote heard and cast. I challenged on several occasions that exact fact and was ignored. In fact, I was laughed at because I was told that my ward needs to learn how to spell my name. I was told that by several board employees, and I didn't know what to do with that because my interpretation of the law was as such. As a result, I began to get nervous, and I waited until it concluded, and I watched them discard several votes by the tens of dozens of my name being discarded. So I wanted to go upstairs. I didn't know who to talk to, so I sought out the general counsel and I met Attorney Adam. I didn't know what to ask him, but because in my mind I thought because I saw such a tremendous reduction that I would ask what exactly is the threshold here. And he explained to me what I had already knew because I read it in the Sun-Times article, and I just wanted to be prepared for what he was going to say, which was the amount of votes that it took to make the ballot, which was 674. And he was kind enough to give it to me in writing. At that time, I did not share what I had witnessed because I was still processing what I saw because everybody was doing it as though they were not on one accord and this was normal. When I say everybody, every board employee was laughing at the fact that voters were trying to spell Cleopatra. I didn't find it funny. So I came back the next week with a team following the board schedule for provisional vote count, only to discover that it had transpired the previous day. So, I understand that the 9th Ward wasn't a big ticket race, but this vote mattered because this vote was for change. As a result, I was told to go upstairs and get the numbers because the 9th Ward had already been counted by a board employee. I said, okay, I really didn't understand what that meant, so I went upstairs. Upstairs is the 8th floor, only to meet Attorney Agnew, ultimately. And then I had shared with some board employees that I was here to get the count, and folks asked me who told me to come up here, and I didn't remember the lady name. But Attorney Agnew was kind enough to go downstairs with me to understand what transpired, and the board employee wasn't there. As a result, she asked me how was my experience, and I began to divulge to Cleopatra Jones and the Cleo Watsons and the Cleopatra Williams and how it had been discarded, and she told me, frankly, that wasn't right. I knew that, but it was ignored time and time again by both the board employee, the Democratic representative, and the Republican representative on multiple terminals. Didn't know what to do. As a result, she encouraged me to talk to Attorney Adam. He wasn't here. I left a voicemail. He and I talked that following day, Tuesday. And as a result, it was organized to recount the Ninth Ward votes in real time. I just gave birth January 4th. My incumbent withdrew January 3rd. Child care was imminent, and I have a 2.5-year-old, and yet I still came in the midst of them counting to the 6th precinct. There's 30 precincts in the 9th Ward, my mother and I. And I'm witnessing, as I walk into the room, them discard and debate Cleo Donaldson. The attorney had just already said that anything with the intent of Cleopatra or Cleo is to be counted. And on several occasions, folks still didn't process what that actually meant. So as I see these results, I challenge not only for the board to reconsider a reasonable recount, but a fair and accurate one. Because I did not bear witness to precincts 1 through 6 counted. I did not bear witness to vote by mail counted. I did not see provisional count with the same mindset that if it's not spelled correctly. So what rules are we following here? Because it was all over the map. And it was a quiet recount, and I was quiet until I was able to see what exactly the results are. And I'm here to fight for change. And until it is fair and accurate, I will not be quiet. The 9th Ward does not need to know how to spell my name. They need to be able to vote with intent and not be disenfranchised. And Adam and his team, they tried to rectify it to the best of their ability. So at the end of Election Day being counted on Tuesday of last week, I saw 24 precincts counted. I came back Thursday with a team of 5, although it was 6 terminals open, and he told me to be 6. I came with what I could. I saw early vote be counted. And then I went upstairs again. I wanted to talk to Adam to learn about vote by mail. Because if we were not on one accord for the recount, I can only imagine what transpired at the onset. And fair is fair. So I wasn't scheduled to talk, but I feel implied to do so because I've come too far to fail. And I just want a fair and accurate result. And I asked him, and he told me that the window had closed. But had I known that the training was not on one accord for board employees to actually be participating in the evaluation of write-in race, I wouldn't be standing here today. So I was blindsided on several occasions when we came down here. And of course, the goal is to try to get it right. But first, we have to start right. We have to start on one accord. And I have to share that with you all to reevaluate what transpired. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Before we have, if we have any comments, I'd like to hear from Mr. Lasker.
Okay, well, thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners, and thank you, Ms. Draper. Obviously, you and I have had quite a few discussions together, and you know that I was not satisfied with what I had heard and what some of our managers had said did transpire with some of the election judges. For the Commissioners' benefit, I do want to reiterate that it's really the election judges that do adjudication. It's a 2-member team, 1 Democratic judge, 1 Republican judge. Our staff members sit as a clerk and they operate the computer terminal, but they're really not supposed to get in the way of what the judges do. And the judges were instructed that the legal standard is intent of the voter, but it does appear that some votes were improperly rejected. So we did look again at and re-adjudicate early voting and election day ballots. It was too late to do vote by mail. There was no certain indication that those teams of judges did the same. Those judges are operating under a different department. What I want to say, Ms. Draper says that she comes here today not wanting to be defeated, but she got a tremendous amount of write-in votes in an election that had very low turnout, and for a contest, the ward committee person contest, that's not necessarily what brought a lot of people to the polls. She came in against an incumbent and came close. So I look at today as a little bit more of a success. I know that's a lot easier for me to say than for Ms. Draper, who you heard just had her 2nd child born at the same time that she's running for office. We all know there was a lot of attention on the state's attorney's Democratic race this post-election period. I saw those candidates send teams of multiple lawyers and dozens of poll watchers down here to try to accomplish the same thing that Ms. Draper pretty much single-handedly, and with some supporters, but not with an army of lawyers, not with an army of poll watchers. She came down here and watched this complicated process. And I hope that you learned a lot, Ms. Draper, and I hope this is only the beginning of your political aspirations here in the city of Chicago, because I'm pleased to have met you and talked with you, and I just hope it's not the end of it for you. This could be a very good beginning for you, and that's unless there's specific questions from the commissioners.
Well, I for one, I'm sorry you had to go through this. But out of these experiences, we learn a lot, and we are going to be sure to extend and enlarge our instructions to the judges to make sure that things like this don't happen again. But we can't change the results right now.
But you can recount. This is 96
we
votes
cannot recount
difference.
we
And it's
law-
already been admitted and said that vote by mail was not accurately counted.
by law, we cannot go back to vote by mail. The time has passed, and we cannot do that.
Madam Chair, may I just add
Yeah.
one thing, is that the vote difference is not within range for the statutory discovery recount.
Right.
It's just not a wide enough spread for what statutorily is and realistically is deemed something where a recount is going to have any likelihood of changing the results.
And that's statutory too,
Yeah.
those requirements. But I'm sorry for everything you and your team had to go through. And as Adam said, I just hope that, we see you again at the next election, and you continue to do what you want to do, which is represent, the residents of your ward. So, thank you.
Let me echo that to you, Ms. Draper, and let me also ask, what actions have we taken, given what happened, staffing-wise, so that we know that this does not reoccur? What have we stepped into?
Well, for starters, let me just say that I did go down and I spoke with those election judges when we recommenced those adjudications. And now we know who those judges are, and I do think, and I'll let Mr. Holliday carry on from this point forward, but we will need to have a more thorough set of training for them on what it means for voter intent. They were trained in it, but not well enough, apparently.
So I wasn't aware of the judges, who they were, but as I was going to mention in my points today, that we will, during our post-election assessment meeting on tomorrow, we will go over with all the board departments. We will go over items to identify improvement to the reporting of the ballot information and processes and procedures for the election. And more especially, we will give emphasis on write-ins. It's not often that we have them, but we do have procedures, and those procedures should be and are expected to be followed. So if there was some misunderstanding, we will get clarification of that to those departments who handle the write-ins.
Just, Adam, if I may, to my knowledge, this was a rather unusual situation in that was a race. Again, this is the 9th Ward Democratic Committee person race. There were no candidates printed on the ballot. We had 4 write-in candidates. So I can't recall a time where we had that kind of a situation. And so our people are not that used to that sort of a write-in contest. And you also mentioned a moment ago, just clarify, but in order to get a recount, you at least need, I believe it's less than 5% difference in the vote?
It is you have to have within 95% of the vote total
Right.
of the winning candidate.
All right, okay, all right. Yeah, and the difference between the winning candidate and the candidate before us was 196 votes from what we're proclaiming. And so that would be greater than that difference. So, all right. Thank you. Just wanted,
It's actually 96.
you say 96?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I may be off with my math at the moment, but I'm gonna verify it.
I'm
Yeah, it's
showing
196.
1324 and then 1128. That difference would be 196.
196.
Okay. Thank you. And again, I have a very strong feeling that we will be seeing your name on ballots again and before us again. And, you know, we just wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you,
very
Mr.
much
Draper.
for your time, Ms. Draper.
Thank you. Do we have any other persons for public comment here? If not, we will proceed with the consideration of the tabulated statement of the returns and proclamation of the results of the canvass of the election returns for the March 19, 2024 general primary election held in the city of Chicago. Is there a motion to approve, adopt, and proclaim the tabulated statement of the returns?
So moved by Commissioner Brown.
And seconded by Commissioner Cressy.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Do we have any discussion? If not, I will entertain the ayes on the motion.
Commissioner Brown votes aye.
And Commissioner Cressy votes aye.
The motion passes, and we have proclaimed the results of the canvass of the election result for the March 19, 2024 election. At this point, is there any further discussion? I just want to thank all the workers at the board, from the executive director on down. Everyone did a wonderful job. It was a tough election, dealing with the low turnout, dealing with the results as the mail ballots came in. We stood by. We followed the rule of law, the state statute requiring us to count the ballots in a timely fashion, and we succeeded. And for that, I just like to thank all of you. You did a great job, and I couldn't be prouder of you. So thank you very much.
Yes, echoing the sentiments of the chair, yes, very proud of our people, and despite some rough going at points, I think we came through this fairly well. And if I may just, we're far enough away from the pandemic, but to look at the numbers where you have just under half of the votes cast were in person on election day. Just under a quarter were in early voting, and over a quarter of the votes were by vote by mail. So I think the options for vote by mail and early voting, we're not putting that genie back in the bottle. It's out there. When a quarter of your electorate or over a quarter want those options, I think we have to respond to that, and so it will continue.
I also echo that, and look forward to participating and helping in any way I can to improve efficiencies and improvements.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. I have certification forms for the proclamation to have you sign. And if I may, while you're doing that, I want to that there was a very close countywide race this time that we're all aware of. And so there was teams of attorneys and poll watchers here throughout almost the entire post-election canvass period. And even under that scrutiny and that level of attention to detail that was given by outside reviewers, the end result is that even with a very slim margin, the attorneys have advised the candidates that the election is accurate. And so, again, we did have what looked on the outside to be some bumps in the road, but really it was a very good election, and I believe we have very accurate results today.
Yes, I agree. I agree. And so given that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the canvassing board meeting.
Well, now that's a motion I can live with. Yes, so moved by Commissioner Cressy.
Seconded by Commissioner Brown.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, please state aye.
Commissioner Cressy votes aye.
Commissioner Brown votes aye.
Motion passes and we are adjourned. Thank you.